Okay, folks, although this is issue 74 of Nightwatch, this is in no way an indication if the series is indeed back permanently. Although, what I'm looking at via the LA Times is that the Weinstein Company have signed Brad Copeland to write a draft script. Now, anybody who knows anything about the Knight Rider movie project, it's been in developmental hell since 2001 when David Hasselhoff originally pitched the idea to Revolution Studios about the idea, and this was the synopsis, and if I'm in any way, shape or form wrong, comment section below, correct me, and I can amend this at some given stage in the future. But the original concept was Michael Knight was to get poisoned, they'd cryogenically freeze him until they could find a way to cure him in the future. He wakes up in the future, he passes the baton to his son to take over, and I think at some stage Kit was meant to fly. Again, if I'm wrong, comment section below. Now, considering all the different ideas that the project has gone from, I mean, it went from Revolution Studios, and Revolution Studios, to my knowledge, went out of business a few years after this happened, and the movie went to the Weinstein Company, and from my understanding, they wanted to try and make it like a reimagined version of the pilot, which was Night of the Phoenix, which was originally broadcast, you know this so well, September 26, 1982, at 9 p.m, only on NBC. But the problem we've got today is, I mean, David Hasselhoff has said he wants to have some involvement with the movie, and I think to a degree he should, because I think if Knight Rider back in the day did not have David at the helm of the Knight 2000, aka Kit to you and me, it may not have been the success that it was back in the day. And despite what some people say in Popo, the SG series from 5 years ago, I still have a lot of love for it. I thought it was a nice continuation, and I have to stress this continuation because a lot of people seem to think this is a reboot. Even Justin Bruning, who played Michael Knight II, and also Mike Tracer in the series, he explicitly expressed this was a continuation. Now, there's two reasons. There's actually like one main reason why SG was cancelled. Now, people say it was because of the ratings. Let me remind you, it never left, I believe it was the top 3 ratings for each episode, and in its final episode, which was I Love the Nightlife, which was the 17th episode of the series, 18th if you count the SG pilot, it came number 2 against American Idol in 2009. Number 2. That is not an easy thing to do, considering the juggernaut that show is. Now, there were some things wrong with SG, I grant that, but I took it for what it was, and 7 times out of 10, I was delighted with it, until GoBot Car, and ripping off from The Spy Who Loved Me. For shame. But, getting back on track, and I apologise for getting off on a tangent, the movie. Could a Knight Rider movie work in this day and age, considering how much time has passed since the original series and how much tech has advanced? Now, a lot of people say nobody cares about Knight Rider anymore. You know, I know AMC Theatre's YouTube page, I forget one of the guys who said it, he says people don't care about Knight Rider anymore. I beg to differ. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I will agree, the show is in pop culture. That is referenced in so many different commercials, comic strips, and even Kit was referenced in the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which William Daniels voiced Death Scythe 2.0, which was a nice little nod, because I thought, okay, you know, I like that. Could it work? I say it could, if it's done right. Now, one example, and I think I brought this up one time before with special features back in 2009, if they took the kind of mentality that they did with J.J. Abrams' Star Trek back then, where you bring everybody in straight at the beginning, but it's done in a way where it's for everyone, not just for the hardcore Knight Rider fans, but you bring it so that the every person can come in and watch this movie. I think it can be done. Now, considering Brad Copeland has written the 2007 comedy smash that was The Wild Hogs, which I personally enjoyed. I thought it was a good movie with some car action. I know Erin White mentioned that, because this is where I got my information from, and the LA Times page. Wild Hogs was a good movie, and you know, considering the content that he put into that, you know, it's not hard to see why Weinstein Company would pick this guy up and possibly get him to do a Knight Rider movie. Then you go look into the other aspect. You know, let's just say the studio does look at the script and say, this is good, we shall run with this. Who's going to play Michael Knight? Now, I honestly think they should go with how Justin Bruning got cast in late 2007 when the SG pilot was originally shot, which was aired on February 17th, 2008 at 8 p.m. only on NBC. I honestly think they should go with Bruning. Let's think about this. He knows the character. He grew up watching Knight Rider. And, you know, he's already had some level of experience actually working, you know, with the Kit Stang, which was the 2008 Shelby GT500 KR Mustang, the second generation Kit, or Kit Stang to you and me, and he did a good job with that. I mean, of course, they could go with the approach that they did with David Hasselhoff, and in a similar vein, it's done in a very similar way as with Superman. They go for someone completely unknown, so that they've got, you know, when this person comes in, they don't think, oh, it's this character from that, and he's playing Michael Knight. They come in, and they think, oh, it's Michael Knight. And that was the thing with David. You know, David is never going to win an Academy Award, in my opinion. If he does one day, I say that with no sarcasm. If he does, awesome. But, you know, he made that part work in the 80s because he made you believe that this car was talking to him and this was his buddy. And that was always the thing. He gave the show heart. You know, that was what got him there. It was like, you know, it was like, thanks, pal. That's what they needed, and that's what should happen with this motion picture that they're still trying to bring to the big screen. I mean, you know, I could sit here and talk for hours about who I think they should, about who they could possibly get. I personally think they should go with Justin Bruning, but that's my opinion. And as for the car, in my opinion, at least, the only car that they should even think about using is the current Chevrolet Camaro. And I say this because it does bear a resemblance to the original 1982 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. Now, a lot of people, and I've seen this this conversation and this debate so many times in the last 5 years in regards to what cars should be brought in. They say it should still be the Trans Am. Now, if KITT is meant to be an artificially intelligent, car of the future, one would say, if you're going to have a car of the future, you're not going to have your daddy's Knight Rider. You want a car that's a vision of the future, something that you look to the future and think, I want that. That looks awesome. It's something like it's out of time. Now, to some degree, the original KITT does look like it's a car out of time. I mean, when they brought out the original Pilot in the 80s, it looked very different. It had nice, smooth lines to it, and it definitely looked like something you'd think, that doesn't look like your regular car. And with the Camaro, although it's kind of got a retro, modern look to it with homages to Camaros of the past, if you were to fill in the little grille at the front with KITT scanner, it would look the part. And the Camaro is actually a cousin of the Trans Am from the 1980s, because it actually shared about 85% of its parts with each other, so it kind of stands to reason that it would be a no-brainer. And I think one of the basic things that should be underlined is that KITT should be kept as an American muscle car. Only going by, because they wanted the Mustang to be KITT, and that is an American classic icon. So therefore, if Knight Rider is going to continue that kind of trend and thinking, then the new KITT, whatever the car will be, should be an American muscle car. And it's also going to be a car that can blend in, but stand out when it needs to. As to who to voice, see, I don't think they should necessarily go with Val Kilmer, even though I think he did a marvellous job with what he did in SG. Now, a lot of people say, oh, he was terrible, he was too monotone. Let me state this. A voice actor is only as good as the person who is directing him. Now, Val Kilmer is a good voice actor. I believe he was in an animated movie about the King of Egypt. If I'm wrong, comment section below. And from what I remember, he did alright with that. And look at, in terms of voice acting, look at how Andrea Romano voice directs Kevin Conroy as Batman in most of the direct-to-DVD movies and the legendary Batman the Animated Series, which I might add is celebrating its 21st anniversary this year. Bravo. In all honesty, I think they should get a voice that does bear a resemblance to William Daniels, because he made that car's personality stand out, but via the same token, they should get a voice that's maybe not as nasal. Now, one idea I had suggested back in the day was they get Chris Barry, who achieved such fame in British sitcoms such as Red Dwarf and The British Empire. And when you hear the audio episodes he's done of Red Dwarf, he imitates Craig Charles's Lister surprisingly well, along with the voice of Crichton. And he's a very versatile actor, and considering he's also been in the 2 Lara Croft Tomb Raider movies as Lara's butler Hilary, he does provide a lot of good comic wit as and where it is applicable. And like I say, the guy has got one of those voices where he's very adaptable. He can make it what he needs it to be, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be KITT. He's got the voice for it. And they say they're going to be using the Fast and the Furious, only going by what I saw off of Clever Movies. Considering Fast and the Furious has pretty much set the bar for how a lot of car movies are done these days, and considering they're into their 6th movie is a good reason for their longevity, or longativity, if you wish to be technical. It's not. It doesn't. It's not again. It's. Bleh, I'll try that again. It stands to reason why they would take that approach, but considering a lot of people want realism, how would you do Knight Rider in a realistic setting today? I mean, that is one of the biggest challenges, because a lot of people don't want. It's like, oh, but this looks too unrealistic. I don't want to watch this, and I don't know. A movie world where Michael Knight and Kit finally take their place on the big screen is something I would like to see, but via the same token, it's got to be done right. And I think it can be done right, but it's going to take the right script, the right cast, the right car, and the right director to do this. I don't know, folks. How do you foresee this happening for the future? Comment section, let me know. And I'm happy to say, for the first time in nearly a year, good night from the night.